Alright, thank you for watching. Alright, another video where I have watched a Catholic refuting misconceptions people have about Catholicism, so that you and I do not have misconceptions about Catholicism. This video is a relatively short one. The YouTube channel name is, they didn't change the channel after I watched it, Lost Between the Pages. The first misconception she brought up is that the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church. That's the misconception she was refuting. And she said, no, Jesus Christ is the head of the Catholic Church. Did she refute anything here? But the Pope is there. The Pope. This point of hers did not make any sense to me. Because the Pope is there and the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church. That's a fact. How can you deny that? Now, if you believe the Pope is guided by Jesus Christ, then say Jesus Christ is the actual head, but the Pope is the earthly head, or something like that. Saying that the Pope is not the head makes it seem like you're accusing non-Catholics that say, the Pope is the head of the Catholic Church of doing mind-altering drugs, or being extremely stupid, or something. Do you get disconnected from reality? So whether Christ is the head of the Catholic Church, well, it is a fact or it isn't, but that's not a fact that's obvious to us physically, like the Vatican is on the same peninsula as Italy. That is a objective fact that we could talk about. But whether Jesus Christ is the head of the church, it's something that's harder to prove, like we could prove where the Vatican is, or proving that water is composed of hydrogen and oxygen, or proving that the earth is a round ball going around the sun. There's some things that are harder to prove physically or like that. So, whether Christ is or is not the head of the Catholic Church, that is a fact, but it's one harder to prove, and I disagree with her on this fact. But I would not make a claim like this, that you are detached from reality, doing mind-altering drugs, about my own religion. If somebody said Russell M. Nelson is the head of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I would say Russell M. Nelson is the earthly head, and Jesus Christ is the real head. But if you want to think of Russell M. Nelson as the head of the church, he is the earthly head of it. Just in the same way, I look at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as having been founded by God, and Jesus Christ is part of that God. Not Joseph Smith as being the founder, but I'm not offended at all. I'm the opposite of offended if somebody does not agree with me and calls Joseph Smith the founder. So I don't understand why she did not say the Pope is the earthly head, but we believe Christ is the head, and make it seem like she's accusing. Okay, let's get on to the next point. I think I've beat that dead horse a couple of times already. Transubstantiation. She didn't refute anything. She was... There's a difference between explaining why something is true. That's not a misconception if people don't agree with you. There's a difference between a misconception and disagreement. This point, her second point of 3 points that she made, she wasn't refuting anything that was a misconception. She was arguing to change an opinion, or arguing that the opinion of those who are different than the Catholic opinion is wrong. Transubstantiation. That word's not in the Bible. She acknowledged that. is when Catholics believe that the host, they call it, the piece of cracker, bread, becomes Jesus' body, literally. When the priest blessed it, it's Jesus' body, literally, not symbolically. Every Sunday, I symbolically eat a piece of bread that did not literally become Jesus at all, but symbolically. It is symbolically Jesus, and he's now a part of my body because I took that symbol that got digested. But she was trying to explain how transubstantiation is the truth or not crazy. She was unclear about whether she was refuting whether it's true or not, or refuting whether it's a crazy idea or not. And she said food changes when you get it into your body, when you eat it, and transubstantiation's like that. That didn't make any sense to me. You see, when a Catholic has Mass and the Eucharist, the priest says some words to bless the host, they call it. If anyone knows what that word means, please put it in the comment section. I asked a Catholic friend once, he didn't know. Maybe he didn't realize what I was asking. Does that mean something in Latin or Greek? Is it an old English, some other old language word means something in that language? Like that word is transliterated into other languages. In French, they call it host. It's host with a French pronunciation. But there's the crackers that they call the host, and wine, and they bless it. And the Catholic belief is that it literally becomes Jesus Christ's body and wine, but nothing is done to it other than the priest saying words. That's very different than me eating food and my entire digestive system turning it into digested food and putting it into the bloodstream of my body to get pumped around my body, and then my muscles absorbing those nutrients, the energy into the muscles, and the other cells using that energy to live, and the proteins that I digested being used to rebuild cells, replace dying skin cells, rebuild and replace muscle cells because of my workout making my body need to make stronger muscles. It's a big difference between my digestive system doing that and the bread was not touched by anyone physically, and now it's changed. That didn't make any sense to me. Her third misconception that she brought up was Mary. She claimed that Protestants have attacked Mary. I have never in my whole lifetime ever heard a Protestant or a Latter-day Saint or anybody attack Mary. I'm confused what she's talking about. Maybe somebody's done it because there are billions of people in the world and I haven't listened to every one of them. Maybe somebody's done it when I wasn't around. But I've never heard it happen. Now, is she calling it an attack on Mary if a Protestant says Mary was a sinner? She was born with the same human weaknesses that everyone else does. She committed enough sins that she had at least one sin Jesus died for when he was dying for everybody else's sin. I don't look at that as an attack. Is she calling that an attack? If somebody believes there is original sin, there isn't. We will not be punished for Adam and Eve's transgression. We're only going to be held accountable for our own screw-ups, our own sins. But just in case there's somebody who believes that there is some original sin, if somebody believes that and they say Mary had original sin like everybody else, that would not be an attack on her, in my opinion. Reporting the facts. And if you're saying like everybody else, That's saying she's another person. It's not an attack to say somebody is a human. At least I don't look at humans that way. Then maybe I don't have human guilt, and somebody with human guilt that thinks there should not be people on the earth would think that way. Okay, so she claimed they don't pray to Mary because they ask Mary to pray for them. But she did not explain how they are talking to Mary, and she did not explain what definition of prayer she's using. If you ask me if I pray to someone or something, the definition I will use is talking to someone or something that is real, that exists, that's hearing me by supernatural powers, whether supernaturalness is them not having a body and being everywhere, or supernaturally hearing while they're not with me, but not hearing me because of technology and not hearing me because they're right there where I can touch them. And talking to that being, believing that being has some kind of power or ability to do something for me. That is, or somebody else that I pray for. That is what I mean. And being certain that it's being heard. That's what I would mean if I say pray. If I'm talking to you about whether I do or don't pray to this or that, or whoever I do or don't pray to, that's the definition I would use, because when I pray to Father in heaven, that's, if somebody did not know what the word prayer is and they're saying, what do you mean by you pray to who? I would explain. My Father in heaven is a real being. He has a physical body too. He's physical, not just real as in a concept or a power, but not actually physically being around. He's got a real physical body. I talk. He hears. He cares. He hears because of supernatural powers, not because I walked out one day and there was a cell phone on the ground and or a radio on the ground I brought in the house that I use, not technology. And my Father in heaven is the creator of this world. And more than just this world, world without number. And he has power. Of course, be created by that power. So that's an example of his power. So that's what I mean by prayer. She claimed one reason for the confusion about whether Catholics pray to Mary and worship Mary and the saints is there's a different Greek word that's used, but she didn't go into great detail about this, so I wish she would have gone into more detail. A different Greek word, she did not say a Greek word in the Bible there, remember, but maybe that's what she meant. Different Greek word for praying to God, worshiping God, and like venerating Mary and the saints who are part of the communion of saints. So that's how she explained that Catholics don't worship Mary, because there's a different Greek word that means worship and another Greek word that could be translated in English as worship. She did not give an example of that word being used to describe a mortal human being who's still venerable. That would have been very useful to help me understand and or be convinced, or help others be convinced. So that's her explanation about how Catholics do not worship Mary, but they use a word that could be translated as worship to what they do to Mary. Thank you for watching. You have a good day. And if you ever wonder about what somebody believes, listen to them like I'm doing to Catholics to find out.